Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on when you're watching this. I am Jovan Taylor, neuroscientist and success trainer, and you are having coffee with a neuroscientist and success trainer. So today we're going to talk about your golden brain on burnout. I emphasize golden because you have so much potential in your brain. Your brain is capable of so much more than you can even dream about. So I am here to teach you a little something more about your brain and how burnout can detract from your brain potential. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your water, whatever you want to drink, and hang out with me for a few minutes as I talk about your brain on burnout. Okay, so burnout is something that I can really relate to as a mother, as a wife, as an ambitious person, professional, and entrepreneur. Now, I wasn't always an entrepreneur. I was in big pharma. I was in government, education, the health industry. So a lot of high stress professional realms, okay? Now, I learned a lot. I learned quite a bit, and I love learning, okay? But sometimes learning burns you out. Sometimes doing stuff over and over again, sometimes going and going and going without resting does something to you, right? And in my case, it fried my brain, literally. So that's what burnout is essentially. It's chronic stress that keeps your body in constant flight or fright mode, and you just have this constant stream of stress hormone, cortisol, adrenaline, and you always feel like you're running from a bear. Okay, now if you are really running from a bear, then by all means get stressed out, get somewhere safe, and then move on. But in modern times, stressors are different than the obvious panther or running from a bear. Okay, so our stressors could be our jobs, it could be our relationships, our environments, right? It could be past traumas that could be triggered by just memories, sometimes subconsciously. Smells can even trigger post-traumatic circumstances that happen in our past. So sometimes we're triggered and we don't even know why, okay? So it leads to this chronic state of being stressed out, and it wreaks havoc on your brain and body. Literally, it will burn out your brain. It will burn out what's called your prefrontal cortex, okay? It will burn out what's called your hippocampus. Now, your prefrontal cortex is that advanced region behind your eyes that separates us from other animals in the animal kingdom, okay? Which makes us have willpower, future planning, being able to make higher judgments, being able to have that religious state of mind, that spiritual connection. Okay, that's what separates us from our other brothers and sisters in the animal kingdom, right? And that hippocampus centered in the center of your brain, that's our memory, people. That's our short-term memory. It's the conduit between what we learn and our long-term memory so that we don't have to keep learning it. Okay, so if that is somehow malfunctions, then guess what? We're not able to hold on to memories. We're not able to make sure that we have new memories that can take us to the next level and when whatever we're doing. And our hippocampus is highly linked to other triggers in our body. So if the hippocampus goes, it's like a domino effect. It's a breakdown of the system, of the machine, if you will. So stress literally eats away at your brain cells, okay? Your prefrontal cortex gets fried. Think of a laptop. You're probably on your laptops right now, or maybe you're on your phone. A phone is a mini computer, right? Think of dropping your cup of joe on your laptop or on your phone. the circuits will get fried. It'll stress out the circuits and cause a meltdown. All right, so that's what happened to me being a mom, being a wife, never taking real care of myself, of my brain, of my body, never having that real time to myself to make sure that I'm giving from a full cup. My brain got fried. I crashed into a pole in an empty parking lot with my little kids in the car. And I had to make a decision that day as I was coming out of my unconscious state of mind. Is this the route I want to keep going? Do I want to keep going 100 miles per hour in this direction without taking care of myself, always putting myself last, going 100 miles per hour in my career as a graduate student, spending 8 to 10 hours a day assessing people with dementia and brain injuries, spending hours on the road away from family? All that mattered. All that contributes to the amount of chronic stress in your life. And I don't want you to crash. I actually tell people what I do in life as an entrepreneur is help people not to crash. I don't want you to crash. And the way to do that is to take better care of your brain. I don't want your brain to get fried, okay? So let me tell you how not to fry your brain, okay? So I kind of told you about what chronic stress does to your memory. It fries your prefrontal cortex. So if you fry your prefrontal cortex, people, it puts you down a peg on the animal kingdom, right? Because now you can't make those higher order executive decisions, higher judgment, willpower. We need willpower to not eat that full cake or that extra slice of pizza, okay? Or to go out jogging. All that is willpower. All of that gets detracted from when our prefrontal cortex is not working, when it's fried. Our higher decision making skills goes into primitive mode, which means our sympathetic nervous system is dominating. So the nervous system that keeps us in a state of I'm running from a bear today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day, that's not sustainable. Okay, and then your lower parts of the brain, the limbic brain, that amygdala, that brainstem, that they're important, but not when we're trying to be our higher modern selves. Okay, those parts start to dominate. So you get more irritable, you're more cynical, you see negatives all around you, you're more emotional. Okay, now emotions are powerful, but only when the prefrontal cortex is at its best to manage it, okay? To make sure that you're being emotional about the right thing. So what else does chronic stress do to the brain? It decreases the blood flow from your prefrontal cortex, your most advanced part of the brain. I know, that's me. I'm the teacher who repeats herself so that you get it. I want you to get it. I want this stuff to be second nature to you so that you can subconsciously do the things that you need to do not to get burnt out, to operate at your higher self, to influence those around you, and notice when they could be taking the next step to taking their mind and brain to the next level. That's what understanding neuroscience is about. That's what understanding your brain at the bare minimum level, people. Everybody should know about their brain. I mean, if you have a brain, why wouldn't you want to know about the most advanced instruments, technology on the planet? We update our laptops every year, our cell phones, but we don't take the time to update our knowledge intentionally, methodically, about our own brains. It would be a totally different society if we operated at the level of our prefrontal cortex, our whole brain processes, instead of letting our lower brains dominate. So chronic stress, cortisol, wreaking havoc all over your body in high concentrations for long periods of time, reduces the blood flow from your prefrontal cortex. Blood flow. Why is blood flow important, people? Because that's where your nutrients are. That's where your liquids are, your water, your life-giving water, your proteins. Okay, your glucose. Glucose is the main source of your brain energy, okay? Your brain uses up 20% of the total body energy. So if you are tired, if you're depleted, if you are stressed, guess what? The level of your brain operation decreases and decreases and decreases. Your IQ decreases and decreases and decreases. Your memory, being capable of remembering what to do or how to do it or finding your words, decreases. Okay, if you want to operate at that level, then we need to have a conversation. But I know there's so much more you can get out of your brilliant brain. You don't have to be a neuroscientist. You don't have to be a neuropsychiatrist. You don't have to go to school for 10 years and learn about the brain. You just need to know in a strategic setting, the information distilled in such a way that could be applicable to you today. And then once you learn it, guess what? You can now infuse that in your presentations, in your strategies, in how you relate to your children. Remember, their brains are developing every year. And the way they develop it at 7 years old is different than at 12 years old. Did you know there's another explosion of brain cell growth between 9 and 12 years old? That's an opportunity. Just like you give all the opportunities to the toddlers, because you know that, right? We've been told years that the toddlers and babies, their brain growth, you got to stimulate them. Well, guess what? Between 9 and 12, there's an opportunity there. And then when they're teenagers, there's an opportunity there. Their brains are doing something different. And then when they're young adults, it's brain development. How can you not benefit from understanding how the brain works when you have little ones that depend on you to keep updating your brain, to keep up the understanding of how this works so you all can thrive? And when we're all thriving, when you're thriving individually, when your family is thriving, when your community is thriving, when your organizations are thriving, what kind of world will that be? It'll be different than what we are seeing now, don't you think? People who are biased, something's going on with their brain. There's something that they can't see. Or maybe they're not using their prefrontal cortex efficiently to be able to have the wherewithal, the awareness, the mental sensitivity, the intuition that only comes when you have a thriving, healthy brain and you are not burnt out, when you are not chronically stressed. I hope this is serving you. I know people, I get passionate when I talk about the brain. I've been talked to about that. You're too passionate, Shantae. We need to pull the reins back on Shantae. Yeah, that was actually said, people. As an entrepreneur, as the founder of the Optimind Institute, I have free reign to be as passionate about something this important. This is the future of humanity, how we use the mind and brain better, how less people are burnt out and stressed out. We need to understand what the stress is doing to our brain, our prefrontal cortex, right? Another thing that's happening during this time is our neurotransmitters are not being able to be released or bind to other neurons. We have 100 billion neurons, each one able to connect to 1 to 10,000 other neurons, which means we have trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of connections going on. And they require these little neurochemicals called neurotransmitters so they can communicate at 200 miles per hour. That's how we're able to think, stay on our toes, remember, access knowledge, learn new knowledge, have the mental energy and stamina to manage the lower parts of our brain and to think on our feet and to plan for the future, to keep focus. How many more people do you know needs extra focus? It's not about a pill. It's not about some unique technique. There are ways that you can naturally get your brain optimized, just going back to normal, everyday human activities that we have taken for granted, like sleep. We haven't always known the power of sleep on the brain, but with brain imaging, we know quite a bit now, right? We know that the brain is more active when we are asleep than when we are awake. So what is happening? There is something going on that's important that the brain evolved to do only when our eyes are closed and we are in a slower wave state of mind. It kind of makes sense, right? I mean, you think about people working in buildings, right? You don't have a bunch of janitors cleaning up the office while everybody's working. They come at night. So there's things that the brain has to do when you are not awake, when you're thinking all day, when you are creating metabolic waste. So that is one of the things that it does. It needs time to clean up all the billions and billions of debris as a result of you thinking all day. And that's okay. But if we skimp out on the sleep, we'll have a lot of trash in our brain, clogging up the messaging system that allows our brain cells to talk to each other, to communicate at 200 miles per hour so we can think straight and be focused and be creative and all that, the wonderful things we can do as human beings. We are clogging up our own progress by not intentionally and methodically learning about how our brain works, learning about how these human processes are affecting our brain technology. Our neurotechnology is what I call it, the greatest technology on the planet. Okay, so I'm no longer burnt out because I can see burnout from a mile away. I have a longer fuse. I'm not as irritated. I know how to prioritize better. I have more intuition. I have set up the environment for my brain to thrive. A part of that environment is ensuring that I'm doing the things that are a part of my strengths. I am exhibiting my passion because passion is fuel for the brain. You get more inspired. You have more energy. Your creative ideas flow better. Why wouldn't you want that? So there's so many ways to ensure that you get off the track of chronic burnout of your brain, because now we know it's no good, and there's a lot more I haven't even delved into. My mission is to empower 100 million minds to use their brains better, to operate at the highest level of their lives, personally, professionally, and in business, because it's time. Understanding the brain and mind is the next level of our human advancement, the next level of our human evolution. It's the last frontier, having this human experience. It's amazing what neuroscientists, physicists, biologists, psychologists, they're all studying the brain. But guess what? They study it, they write it up in scientific journals that 99.99% of the world will never read. So what my team and I, other neuroscientists, we take that science and we distill it down and we put it in such a way that resonates with you so that you remember it, so you get it into your mental pathways of success so that you can naturally implement the things that will allow your brain to thrive, that will allow you to infuse it into whatever you are doing in life. Knowing about your brain is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. It's a good thing. It's an advanced thing. And, you know, in the beginning, I was trying to tell everybody, you got to learn about your brain. But everybody's not ready. And I get that. So I really call out to those who are ready. Those who hear the call immediately, and they just know. They know through and through that they have to learn about this. They know it's the next stage in their personal development, in their professional development, in their leadership development, in their coaching development, in their therapist development. Because this is the control center of everything we do and everything we don't do. And I'm telling you, having a chronically stressed out, burnt out brain is not in your benefit or those around you. And we can solve this problem together. The Gallup Research Institute said that burnout is a crisis in organizations. How are you going to have an organization that thrives if most of your employees are burnt out? It's affecting their productivity, their stress levels, their innovation, their relationships with each other. And then guess what? They take it home. They take it home and they're stressed out and burnt out. It affects their family responsibilities, their significant other relationships, how they interact with their children. This is a domino effect. It cannot be compartmentalized. A burnt out brain will show up in every realm of your life. but so can a thriving brain. So can I help you to thrive, people? Can I help your clients to thrive? Can I help your employees to thrive? Can I help your teams thrive? This is one way that I'm doing it, through my Coffees with the Neuroscientist. Make sure you are in my group, the Neuro Coaches, Neuro Leaders, and Modern Thinkers Collective. Make sure you have like my business page, because I talk about this and I post this. You can go to my website, ShantaeTaylor.com, and get a neuroscience ebook series, free neuroscience ebook series on the top 10 things you should know if you want to be an advanced modern thinker, neuro coach, neuro leader. All right, that's my gift to you. All right, everyone. Take care. Remember, when you better your mind and better your brain, you will better your impact in this world. I promise you that. But you got to do it methodically and strategically. Take care, everyone.